Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and I have a passion for empowering others to take responsibility for their careers. Yes, I've written several books on owning your career and am loving hosting this podcast. This podcast is for you if you're willing to make a shift to the driver's seat in your career. We feature leaders who inspire, empower, and motivate you for consistent career action for results. Please continue to join us every Sunday when a new episode is released. Let's get into this week's show. Welcome to this week's episode of the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. This week, I'm excited to have with us June Archer, who is the founder of 11 Entertainment. He's a media mogul, whether it's event production. I had the pleasure of being one of the honorees of the 100 Women of Color. I know he does the 100 Men of Color and so much more philanthropy. And we've been having a conversation behind the scenes, like 15 minutes before we even got to the podcast. So I know this episode is going to be amazing. June, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Simone. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing this platform with me. So excited to talk about all the things that we're going to discuss today, and just excited about this connection that we have. And, from the island to the diaspora, just even more of a connection now. So I'm excited. I'm super excited.
Awesome. Well, tell our audience just a little bit about you and what you're currently doing.
Well, I'm from Hartford, Connecticut originally, now residing in Westchester, make my way between Westchester and Hartford. I started out as a recording artist in the 90s in a boy band by the name of Room Service. It was always my dream to be a recording artist with, some friends of mine who were still friends, childhood friends to this day. And our dream was to be, in the music business. And we had that opportunity in 1995. In 1997, our songs and our videos came out. We were on BET, VH1, MTV, The Box, and just had a great time, traveling and performing and meeting so many of our peers that were in music and people that we looked up to. And in 2010, in 1999, actually, as the classic VH1 story would have it, too much, too fast, too soon. We kind of imploded when our song was on the charts. Our video was playing. And I got to realizing like this dream wasn't over for me. I really was in love with music, and took some time off and went back into corporate America at the time. And at the time, my boss, Mrs. Green, she called me into a meeting one day and asked me to give my 2 weeks notice. And at that point, I'm like, oh man, what did I do? And I tell people there are certain road signs and things that are along your path. If you just pay attention to them, it will help you navigate your journey. And she told me, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but you don't belong here. Like you have goals and dreams that far exceed what you're going to accomplish here. Take a week off, come back, give your 2 weeks notice. So upon hearing that, I did exactly that. Went to a music seminar in Puerto Rico and saw some friends that were in the music business and peers and colleagues. And at that point, I realized, man, I really am still in love with this thing called music. And it was at that retreat that I actually had the opportunity to come back home and actually have a job lined up, going back to corporate America and say, okay, I'm gonna give my 2 weeks notice. And then weeks later, I am the president of the record company that signed me as a recording artist. And at that point, I had the opportunity to work with everybody from Jay-Z, Beyonce, 50, Mario, Marion, Chris Brown, and so many others. And 2010, the music sounded a little different to me. And I just felt like society was going in a direction that I wasn't used to, especially growing up in my household where, we were taught to treat people well. And, the motto of Jamaica, my parents are immigrants, is out of many, one people. Mm-hmm. And with that motto, it was you treat people the way you want to be treated. It doesn't matter if they're Black, brown, Hispanic, polka dot, that doesn't matter. And I started posting, Simone, positive affirmations on social media, any platform that I had. And people started to like it and would tell me, do you mind if I post this, repost it, share it, put it on my refrigerator, put it up at work? And I said, no, please, like, I just want to share these thoughts. I want people to think better, do better, love life, think glass half full, see the light at the end of the tunnel. And around that time, my wife and I were going to couples therapy to kind of get what people were encouraging us, get a tune-up. And I never wanted to be that guy. I was like, I don't need therapy. I'm not going to therapy. I'm a man's man. And I went. And during those sessions, the facilitator would always ask, all right, so how are you guys doing this week? Like, how are you doing? How's your day? And I always tell people, like, I woke up this morning, like, I'm great. I'm just happy to be here. And I think after hearing that for so many days, weeks on end, one day she looked at my wife and was like, is he always like this? Like, it seems like it's the same answer every time he has a session. And she goes, yeah, like, that's him. That's who I've always known. But I don't know if one day everything won't be all right. And she looks at me and she asks, is every day a good day to you? And I said, literally and poetically. And as I'm saying it, I started telling her, I know we're not supposed to use any devices, but I have to write this down. This is going to be the title of a book that I'm going to write. And I profoundly said, yes, every day can be a good day. And that ended up being the title of my book, of all of the positivity and all the affirmations that I was writing. I just went back and just started gathering all of those quotes that I was writing, and I just put it into a book. And my childhood friend, Anika Noni Rose, I shared it with her, and she edited it for me, and she wrote, the foreword for it, and I published it. And before it even came out, it sold out. We ordered, I think it was maybe 2,500 copies, and we pre-sold them, and it sold out. And I think we sold upwards of maybe 8,000 copies to date. And I realized in that moment, man, I really love this space of speaking life into people and their dreams, and had the opportunity of meeting Eric Thomas and Trent Shelton and so many other motivational speakers, and ended up going on tour with them and just kind of expanding my reach and sharing my book and selling my book and my merch. And all during that time, Simone, I've always been someone who is from the philanthropic state of mind. So for 24 years, I've been raising money for intervention and prevention for AIDS and breast cancer with my annual event, the June Archer Celebration of Life birthday party, which will be 25 years old this year, and is now going to kind of change a little bit. It's going to be called the June Archer Foundation Gala, as I just launched my foundation and my June Archer School of Arts, and also giving back and providing a platform for artists in music, comedy, and poetry with Hot Chocolate Soul. And of course, the ever so popular and loved events, the 100 Women of Color Gala and Awards, and the 100 Men of Color Black Tie Gala and Awards, where we honor 100 men and women of color throughout the state of Connecticut, Western Massachusetts, and parts of Rhode Island. So very proud of those things. And also an event that's near and dear to my heart is the New England Music Seminar, where we educate people, especially our young people, about the business of music and the careers that are in the business of music and entertainment. So that's who June Archer is. I'm just, the homeboy from around the way who loves to make people happy, either via an event or make them smile with a kind word, and just really loving the space that I'm in terms of giving back and creating a legacy that far exceeds my existence at this point.
Wow, June, that was a masterclass right there. I've got so many questions. You said so many things, and it sounds so easy. And I know some of our listeners might be saying, well, okay, I want to leave my job, right? This is not my passion. And you said you left, you took a 1-week seminar in Puerto Rico, and then you came back and you were president. How do you navigate? Like, how do you network, or what is the secret to these pivots that you're constantly pivoting in your career and doing these great things? What are some of the secrets that you can share with our audience?
Well, one of the things, Simone, that I have learned over the years, and we're talking about 25 years or more in the music and entertainment space, but just a lifelong journey of who my parents are, what they are to their community, what they've been to their community. I've learned just the art of networking, right? I even created a online course called The Definitive Art of Networking. It's about connecting with as many people along your journey as you possibly can. It is going out and meeting someone or introducing yourself to someone every day, that you become the common denominator, right? You become the conduit to those who need dots that need to connect. And I've found that once you do that, even when you don't gain anything monetarily from it, it comes back 100-fold, comes back 1,000-fold, especially when you least expect it. So for me, as I said earlier, when you pay attention to the road signs along your journey, what happens is people get so discouraged that they're so clouded that they block their blessings, that someone could repetitively tell them, Simone, there's this guy, June, I need you to meet. He's going to help you do this, or he's going to connect you with this person so that you can get to this next level. And because you're so bogged down with whatever it is that you didn't accomplish, or whatever roadblock or whatever obstacle has been in your way, you block your blessings, that you never hear that person tell you that they've given you the keys, right, to another opportunity. They've given you a conduit to the next opportunity. They've given you a leg up. They've given you a door to open, because you're so in your way. We have to start getting out of our way and listening and looking at these road signs. So when Mrs. Green told me, listen, I need you to give your 2 weeks notice, I very well could have said, well, nah, I need this job, or like I got it. How can I lose my job? Like, I had to listen to what she said. And what she was saying was, you are doing good here. We like you here. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing, but as I'm seeing you do your work, I'm realizing this is not for you. This is not your calling. So in that moment, you have to say to yourself, man, someone sees greatness in me when I don't see greatness in myself in these moments, right? So then you have to say, man, all right, let me take this week off. Because at that point, I was already discouraged from the music business, because I just lost a record deal. Now I'm back home. I'm going from BET back to CG, right? Sigma. BET to CG. Man, like I've already had one disappointment. You tell me to leave the job? What does that mean? What does that feel like? I could very well have been like, nah, like I'm good. Like I'm gonna stay here. I'm good. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll smile a little more. And that it's not that I wasn't smiling. I was. I enjoyed myself. This is what my reality was at the time. But when she said, I see greatness in you, I see more for you, this is not where you belong, it was because during the day when I had lunch or before I got out the door, I'm giving people communications, flyers for events that I'm doing tonight, this weekend. I'm doing Hot Chocolate Soul. I'm doing, Wednesday Night Live. I'm creating these events, nightly events, because I'm still in that space of loving entertainment. So I was at my 9 to 5, working my 5 to 9. Right? But I was more passionate about what's going on from 5 to 9, that I'm doing this. So I got it. Like, cool, I can sit here, handle death benefits. I'm good.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about, man, what am I going to do for Wednesday night's event? What am I going to do for Saturday night's event? Who I'm going to invite? I'm going to go to lunch and I'm going to go hand out these flyers and I'm going to invite these people, and I'm building my audience and I'm networking and I'm connecting with people. That she said, what you're doing here is not it. I see what you're excited about. This is not it. So I had to listen to what she said, take that week off. It just so happened that the universe lined up in time for me to go to that particular seminar, only to realize, yeah, I'm still in love with this thing. Let me take a crack at this thing, right? And I'm going to go back a little bit, Simone, because I hope this answers your question. While in college, my fourth year in college, that's when I got my record deal. And at that time, I'm missing class. And this is Central Connecticut State University. And my professor, Dr. Mendez, comes to me one day and says, you're losing a lot of time. You haven't been coming to class. I know what you're doing. Your peers are telling me that they're seeing you on television. They're hearing your song on the radio. I can't teach you what you're learning in the real world here. you're getting all the best real world experience that you're getting. I can't teach you here. I can only teach you theory. Go and learn that. You can always come back and get your degree at any time, at any age. You never stop learning, but go ahead and take advantage of this. Once again, another road sign that I paid attention to. And when I got the record deal, I jumped in 100%, both feet in, right? So we have to pay attention to these signs. Just like when I was posting the affirmations, I blocked my blessings because I was like, I'm not trying to write a book. I'm not even an author. I didn't even study to become anything great in writing or English. Realizing I'm not paying attention to the signs, Simone. People are telling me, they're speaking, no, this should be in a book. You've got to put this out. Until I finally said, you know what, let me stop blocking my blessings. And let me gather all of these things that I've been posting and just figure out how I could just get 100 of them. Because I had been doing it for like 2 years, posting every day religiously, every day posting something. And somebody just gather 100 of them and put them in the book. So I had more than enough material, but I just had to get out of my way and listen to the road signs and look and read the road signs of people that wanted to encourage me, that were trying to inspire me. They're trying to motivate me. They're trying to speak life into me. And when I did that, in those 3 instances, leveled up, right? So for the person who is working and they're like, man, I can't quit my job. All right, I'm not saying you should quit your job if you don't have anything lined up. But what I am saying is, while you're at that 9 to 5, what are you doing from 5 to 9? It can't be just watching Real Housewives of whatever county. It can't be watching Love and Hip Hop of whatever city. It can't be whatever dating show, right? Figure out what you can do from 5 to 9 that could potentially be your 9 to 5, or potentially just give you additional income. Because at some point, and I realize people my age are getting to this point, they're becoming retirees. They are now having grandkids, and they're trying to figure out the second part of their life. But they've given up on all those dreams. They once wanted to publish a book. They once wanted to become a poet. They once wanted to do something in television. They once wanted to start a podcast. They once wanted to open a business, and so on and so forth. But now that they've got here, Simone, I don't know. I'm too old. I can't figure it out. The technology, then you should have been working on it a long time ago. Because the reality is, empty nest syndrome kicks in. Kids are gone. It's just you and the spouse, right? Yup. Now you guys have to figure each other out, because at that point, you guys have just been mom and dad for 20-something plus years. Y'all don't even know each other. He doesn't even realize your name is Simone. He didn't call you mommy so many times that he has no idea that you're Simone, right? And you have no idea what his name is, but I know that they call you daddy, right? That's one thing, but then trying to figure out what it is that you love, that you're passionate about, because now you're retired, or both of you might be retired, and you're home and you're looking at each other, twiddling your thumbs, and you have no idea who each other is. You haven't had date nights. You haven't had any time to yourself because you've been parenting, and not that that's a bad thing, but you've neglected to pour water and sunlight on this plant called love, on this plant called relationship, on this plant called marriage. So along that journey, figure out what it is that you love. Yeah, it's not going to be easy, and you have to step out on faith. Luckily for me, my wife has always been a pillar of strength. She's been a pillar of supporting everything that I've done, to the point of she is the breadwinner most times, right? She's the one that supports. She has to hold it down, because as a entrepreneur, there are times when you make a whole lot of money, then you're not making a lot of money, right? There are events that do well, and there's no events that do well. There's times that you sell a bunch of books, and then you're not selling any books. So if it wasn't for her strength, her commitment to making sure that we're all good as a family, when I can't, you have to make sure all those things work in conjunction together, but you can't stop working on your dreams. You always got to be hungry to get to the next level up. Even if it's just a lateral move that's going to allow you to the next level, you have to work on that. So it's all those things in one to make sure that you never stop running. Like, you can't stop moving. Even when things go right, you got to figure out, man, so that's great today. We had a great event, but what about the next one? What if the next one's not good? What if a pandemic comes and you can't have any events? What happens? So you can't stop. So I've learned from countless mentors to diversify your portfolio as it pertains to what you're doing in life, to never stop, to continue to dream and dream even when your dreams come true, right? So for those who are watching and listening, there are people who like, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. When I grow up, I want to be a lawyer. When I grow up, I want to be a fireman. The question isn't if you can do it. The better question is when you do it, then what? So do you stop dreaming? Because I wanted to be in the music business and I did that and it happened. And then it stopped. So what now? So you become a fireman and what now? So you do 20 years or you do 18 years, you retire, and what? What were you doing since then? Like, what are you going to do now? Like, that dream came true, but you stopped dreaming. So we just have to figure out what are those things that we fall in love with and diversify. It doesn't mean that you can't write poetry and you can't want to be a lawyer, right? You could do both while you're working for the state, right? Because when you retire, you're like, man, now, I've been going to school to study for my law degree, and now I got the law degree, or I got a real estate license, so I'm just going to do that, and I'm write a book of poetry. Figure out what those things are. Diversify your journey to figure out what is going to make you happy and give you the best joy possible, and that people can enjoy.
Absolutely.
Right? That you can leave something with people.
Yeah, June, again, a lot of wisdom that you've shared with our audience. I heard about mentors, sponsors, really unearthing greatness in you and giving you solid advice and dream big, never stop dreaming, never stop. So many good nuggets. I want to take a quick break and come back and talk to you about resources that have helped you along the way. Let's take a quick break. Hi there. I hope you're enjoying this episode. This interview is amazing. I do so love it. I want to just jump in and let you know a couple ways that you can work with me. First of all, you can always go to connectwithsimone.com and it will give you the opportunity to get to my books, website, etc. If you want to sit down and have a conversation about your career directly, you can go to careerbreakthroughcall.com and book a free 30-minute call with me to talk about, what's happening in your career. Do you need help with building your confidence? Do you need help with identifying strategic relationships that you need for career success? Do you need help building a career plan? Whatever it is, I'm sure that I can help. So do go to careerbreakthroughcall.com and set up a time for us to have a conversation. Again, it's a free 30-minute call to have a conversation. That's it for now. Let's get back to the interview. We are talking with media mogul, event producer, entrepreneur, author, and so on, philanthropist, and so on and so on. June Archer is on the show today. And we left talking about really listening to the road signs along the way. And also being proactive about your 5 to 9. I love the idea of the side hustle. And in fact, listeners, I'll tell you that it was my side hustle or side explorations that gave me clarity into what I was passionate about. So I definitely co-sign what you're saying, June. I do want to ask you about resources. Like, what were you listening to? What were you reading? Resources that really helped you to level up in your career?
Simone, gravitated towards everything that I could that looked like what I wanted to do. All right. So for those who are listening, I want you to let that seep in. I gravitated towards and was interested in things that I wanted to do, people that I wanted to become. So I've always been a big thinker. I look at what Oprah's doing, what Jay-Z's doing, what 50 Cent is doing, what Russell Simmons did to create his media empire. What are these people doing that look like me? How did they get there? And reading the books that they've either written, business books, autobiographies, I was so immersed in. I would watch documentaries on everybody from Quincy Jones to Ray Charles, right? Just watching the lives, just figuring out James Brown documentaries, the movies, everything that had to do with entertainment. If you love something, you have to consume it to the point where you can regurgitate it to get someone else excited about it. And
Mm.
when you're excited about it, people get excited, right? So you have to live it, but while you're living it, you got to eat it, drink it, inhale it, everything. And that's what I did. There's so many resources. And if there are some people that are on the ground where you live or in your environment or neighborhood, go to them and say, hey, I want to know, Simone, how did you start a podcast? How did you teach me? What are the tools that I need? Like, what inspired you? Those are the things that you have to ask. Those are the questions that you have to put out in order to get what you want. The resources are there. And if you're too shy, you can always Google it. But I found, especially when I created this course, The Definitive Art of Networking, was there are tools that you can use to have a conversation, just pulling an icebreaker out of thin air that will allow you to get the answers that you need to put you on a path to success. And when I say path to success, it means it's not that you're going to find the success right then and there, but they will give you the nuggets. They'll give you the tools. They'll give you something to put in your tool belt to get you to that next place. That as you start to acquire all this knowledge and information, you'll be well on your way. One of my great friends who recruited me to come to Central, Mike Ansara, said, you always have to be hungry for knowledge and thirsty for answers. Hungry for knowledge and thirsty for answers. So along this journey, ask questions. Never leave an opportunity, open where you're like, man, I just had Simone here. I was so nervous to ask her how she started her podcast. Guess what? Maybe 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10, people want to share this information, especially if they're excited about it because they want to see other people succeed. It's not always a competition, right? People want to share their stories. They want to hear the success stories. But guess what? You have the Jay-Z's and Beyonce's right in your backyard. You don't always have to look to Jay and Beyonce. And there's no disrespect to them. I love them. I love what they do. I've been able to work and do records with both of them. But you have Jay-Z and Beyonce in your community. It's the person that's doing government in the local area, right? It's your councilman, it's your alderman. It's the local business owner, right? It's the local owner of the theater around the corner. It's the poet that you may see on Wednesday nights. It's the band that plays at your favorite restaurant. Ask those questions. The resources are there. You just have to step outside of your comfort zone and say, man, I want this so bad. All it's going to cost me is my time to ask this person this question.
Yeah, your time and your action steps to follow up afterwards. I want to bring it full circle. So if you were able to succinctly tell us, what is your formula for owning your career? What would you say?
My formula would be passionate about what it is that I want to see and always having a bigger picture in mind for the greater good. Meaning, I want to do something that is so grand that when people come, they have a good time, they enjoy life, and that they make a human connection. I've been able to do that with every event that I've done. And when I go into it, I always say, I want to create something that's sustainable, that is something that you could continue to do. And all of the brands that I've created are more than 1 year old. They're more than 5 years old, right? And they can continue going on because I thought about it well in advance how I wanted to see it. Even when people said to me, man, you're going to do 100 Men of Color, like, aren't you going to run out of people? I knew I wasn't going to run out of people way before I created it, right? Because if you are inspiring people today and you're honoring them today, how many people that see that are going to be inspired that 2 years from now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years from now, those same people that were inspired and watched the people that you're honoring today will be the ones that you honor tomorrow. So you can't ever run out of people. It's highly unlikely if you continue to inspire generations to come. I've done that with Men of Color, Women of Color. I've done it with the New England Music Seminar. I've done it with the June Archer Celebration Life. I've done it with Hot Chocolate Soul. Hot Chocolate Soul Celebration Life alone are going to be 25 years old this year. I create brands that will stand the test of time, that bring joy to people and give back to the community. So Hot Chocolate Soul is something for people to share their talent on stage. But guess what, Simone? It also entertains the community. They have something to come and something to do to support people, right? They'll buy their books of poetry. They'll buy their CDs. They'll support and, buy their music online. They'll buy T-shirts, et cetera, et cetera. These are the things that we have to think about. What is your journey going to represent when you're long gone? What will people say about June Archer when he's gone? Hopefully, man, I had the opportunity to attend his events and I enjoyed myself. I met great people. It was a great environment, or I was honored and I felt good, and it was a pick me up, and it inspired my kids, inspired my family. That's what I think about.
What a wonderful legacy you are leaving, June. I mean, you're doing so many things, so many great things, because I know I follow you on social media. I've seen the shoe. I think it's a shoe.
I have a shoe out.
Okay.
The June Archer ones is what they call it, the June ones. The J ones, and so many different nicknames. And that was inspired by Harrison Blake Apparel, a good friend of mine, Richard Taylor, came to me one day and said, as you're doing these things, I want to support your June Archer School of Arts. Let's create something. Let's create a suit or a shoe that we can have people, purchase to extend your brand, but also give back to your foundation. And the day I went in to create the suit, he and his brand manager said to me, you know what? We rethunk this. We don't want you to do a suit. We want you to think about you doing a shoe. And I'm like, man, I was so excited about creating a suit. It's so awesome. But what they said made sense, right? Once again, here's another road sign that you have to pay attention to. June, if you create a suit and you have a gala, you have 100 men of color, 100 men aren't going to wear the same suit, but they will wear the same shoe.
Smart.
And that's how we birthed the shoe. And they took me through the whole process. It was an amazing process. I got to learn about the different type of leather, the different type of leather bottom, tassels, suede, and just amazing process. And it took a whole day to design it. And I was excited when I was done. And then I got them and I posted that I had them. And I'm like, these are the June Archer ones. You got to get some. If you can't just support me, support this as it supports the school. And we've had tremendous success. There's only 50 exclusive pair, and we're able to actually meet that mark. And I'm hoping to see if we can get some more. But now there's a second June Archer one that happens to be a different color of the same shoe, because people are like, hey, I like the blue, but can we get it in black? So we presented a black version to the June ones. So those are out. And we're just excited. I'm excited to wear. I wore the original June Archer ones to the 100 Men of Color. It might have been, it was 100 Men of Color or Women of Color, one of the two. And I'm looking forward to wearing the black ones to the June Archer Celebration Life, June Archer Foundation Gala on November 27th. So super excited about that. And I realized someone told me I am one of probably less than 5 men of color who actually designed their own shoe, like ever. So I was excited about that. That makes me happy, because that's what I strive for. Like, what are you doing different? How are you changing or shifting the narratives? How are you breaking through barriers and doing something new and different? So it's something I take very seriously, and I'm excited about that.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. And it warms my heart just to hear about the impact that you're making on the world. I want to thank you so much for being a guest on the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. Before we go, I want you to tell our audience how to stay connected with you and how to get that course that you were talking about on networking. Definitely.
If you're listening, please go to IamJuneArcher.com. Any and everything about me is there. Merchandise, books, the course, the online course, the Definitive Art of Networking is there. And for those who are listening, if you are listening today and you log in for the next week, we're going to leave it for 50% off for those who are listening to the podcast. And also, we're going to gift Simone a children's book of inspiration, because we came out with Yes, You Can, a children's book of inspiration for our young readers to catch our young people where they can. So we're giving Simone a free book to give away for those who reach out to her. I don't know how you want to give it away, Simone, but we're going to give a book away, a children's book inspiration for anyone who wants their young reader to be inspired. And we're excited about the book because it dives into a lot of things. There's a makerspace in there that they could draw and create. There's a test in there that they could take. It's a really fun test to make sure that they understand what they've read. And they're going to be introduced to different careers that they've seen to put these careers in a positive light and let them know that they can achieve anything that they want. So we're super excited about that. So please go on to IamJuneArcher.com, reach out to Simone for the book. Yes, you can. And get the Definitive Art of Networking. I give away pretty much all of my secrets. And it is 50% off for those who go on and because you're here listening. And Simone, thank you so much for sharing your platform. I see your work. I love what you're doing. Don't stop doing what you're doing. And if you ever need anything, please do not hesitate to reach out. Not only do I have your back, I will share any opportunities that you may need and connect the dots for you. So I always learn, and this is the last key. People always say that people only reach out to you when they want something. And then people's reaction is, well, Simone is reaching out to you because she's just using you for your connections. She's just using you to get to the next level. That's great, but that's an old way of thinking. When you are the common denominator and you are the dot connector, it is your job to be a blessing to others. And if you're not being used, you're being useless. So please, thank you so much, Ms. Simone. IamJuneArcher.com. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, @JuneArcher, on everything.
Wonderful. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. Thank you so much, June. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this week's empowering career story on the podcast. If you did, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Wherever you listen to the podcast, be sure that you are subscribing and that you rate and review the podcast. It's so important as we continue to spread the word of career empowerment. In addition, you can head over to the LinkedIn platform and join the Power of Owning Your Career discussion group. There you can have access to the guests who have been on the podcast, as well as others listening to the podcast, as well as myself, where we can continue the conversation. I hope to see you on that platform. You can also email me at pooyc@simonemorris.com if you have a suggestion for guest or a message that you want me to hear personally. Thanks so much, and make it an inspiring, empowering week in your career.